Wrenching it up. Gonna wrench it up. Yeah. Wrench-a-dee-roo. I've had these parts soaking for a little bit. I'm just working on scrubbing off some of this grease and grime from the parts here with this little wire brush. So I'm just going to go through the parts and give them a little bit of a scrub. Dunk them in some water here. I got a nice big thing of water. We'll get this stuff cleaned up because you don't want this stuff soaking too long in that. Super clean. It's actually not really a good idea to keep it soaking too long. You definitely want to make sure you're wearing you have rubber gloves on and some safety goggles. If this stuff splashing in your eye, you can get hurt. So keep that in mind. So what you want to do is get rid of that clear coating so that I can start to get to the metal. You can already see how kind of a little bit shiny that is. So when I start sanding that down, it'll just it'll buff up really nice when I get my compound on there. Look at that already. That excites me. Look how shiny that is already just from cleaning it. You can tell. Coming along with the parts, I got a bunch in here. They're just soaking off. So the grease is coming off. It's working out pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with that. So that's just from soaking. So that looks pretty badass already. So looks brand new. I got my cleaner, I got my rinse, and then I'm just letting them soak in warm water here just to get the rest of the chemical off. Now that my parts are all degreased, I can go ahead and start with the wet sanding process. So what I'll do is I'll move through each part and sand them down, starting with a low grit, so a really gritty sandpaper. And we'll give this a nice, we'll get the clear coating off these. You can already tell at some points during the degreasing process that I'd already scratched off some of the clear coat. So you could see that there, that it's already starting to come off. So when I start to go over that with the 200 wet dry sandpaper, that's gonna help take that off, and then I'll go up to 600, then 800, 1,000, then 2,000, and it should shine up really nice after. And after that, I'll buff it out with a buffing wheel and some white buffing compound. That's supposed to be the best for aluminum, so we'll see. These things should shine right up. So I just soaking them in water right now. My next step is going to be to start sanding each one down. Alright, so I'm in the garage here still. I'm just finished soaking my parts. I degreased them. The degreaser left a little bit of a weird finish on the parts, but that's okay because I'm going to start digging into the wet dry sandpaper now. So I'm going to start with 220 grit and work my way up. So it's going to do one piece at a time until I get through them all, and then go up the stages as I go. So here I go. Get some water here on the left of me with a single drop of dish soap, and yeah, basically I'm just gonna keep going with this. You can see already that's starting to shine it up a bit more. So basically what I want to do is get off that clear coat so that I could start getting into the surface and start sanding it down basically. So just using a combination of water and some WD-40, and you can already see it's starting to shine up a bit here. This is just the first stage, so I wouldn't worry about those scratches. Some guys like that. I'm going for a pure shiny look, so I'm just wiping it off just to see where I'm at here and see which needs more scrubbing. But you can see already it looks pretty good. It's coming along nicely, and I'm just going to keep going with the 220 grit here. This is quite a long process. Not a lot of guys do this. They don't have the patience or the time. But I really like the shiny look, and it just tells people that you put a lot of work and effort into your bike, and it's something that I really respect. So that's why I really want to try and do it. I know it's going to take me a long time. It's a lot of elbow grease, but it's going to be beautiful when it's all shiny. It's going to look brand new. So I'm still continuing on with the wet sand method of polishing up my parts here. I've only done the brake shoe cover here, and this is just 220. So just a word of warning with that super clean stuff. You don't want to let your aluminum parts sit in it for too long, and I'll tell you why. You can see how the difference between these two. I'll try and get it in the light here, but I left this a little bit to soak in the super clean stuff, and it kind of oxidized the aluminum a little bit, which is fine because I'm sanding it down anyways by 4 different styles of sandpaper, so it's not a huge deal. So I'm refinishing the covers, but just a word of warning, if you're just looking to clean your covers and you're not doing any sanding or anything, it will oxidize and darken the aluminum a little bit. So be careful, just be a little bit careful with that stuff. So just a little word of warning. I'm not too worried because you can tell with this one here, it got pretty shiny. So and that was just wet sandpaper 220, and I still have to go through the levels. So it's already looking pretty good, and I'm just going to continue on. So next day, it's a lot of work, a lot of elbow grease, but it's going to look sweet when it's all done. So bear with me. Got a lot of parts to cover, so I've cleaned them all. I went and rinsed all the parts with soap and water, hot soap and water. So now there was a little film on it before. Now they're nice and dry, and they're going to be really susceptible to that sanding now. So we'll get that going today and see how much I can get done here. Still working on this piece here, guys. Not going to lie, it takes a lot of time, but honestly, stick with it. It's going to look awesome when it's all shined up, and people are really going to respect the work you put into it. So this one's starting to shine up a little better. It's because of all the nooks and crannies on this one. It's a little difficult to get into the corners, but do your best. It does take some scrubbing. You want to look at it closely, see where there's any nicks or scratches, and basically this is the stage that you want to buff those out. You want to get those smooth. Depends on how obsessed you are. I'm pretty obsessed, so I'd like it really smooth and no scratches or anything. So if you have a heavily scratched surface, it's going to take longer. So this is the end result with the 220 here on this one. It's looking pretty shiny. It did take a while to get into the little crevices here, some surface scratches and stuff like that. So did take a little bit of time. Probably spent about 3 hours on this, just on the 220, and I still have to go through about 5 more steps. So it does take a while, but again, it's going to look awesome when it's all done. So it's just keeping me going. I'm going to move on to the next one here. I'm going to move on to this cover here. So just check that out. Now you can then you can compare something compared to. So that's what it looks like now. So you'll see it in the next take when I blast through it with the 220, how much of a difference it'll make. Looking pretty good. You can see it cleaned up pretty nicely, and that's just the 220. So yeah, I feel pretty good about it. It's looking pretty shiny already. There's a big ding in the middle here, but I don't think I'm going to buff that out because I want to preserve the Honda logo there. Plus, looks kind of cool, right? The little scratches on it, don't mind so much. It's not going to be perfect, but yeah, I'm pretty pleased with this, actually. It's looking pretty sharp already, and that's just the 220. I can't wait to get the buffing wheel out after I finish sanding it all with the wet sandpaper. I'm going to try and get through a few more in this video. I might have to cut it short and then come back in a few days, so if I look different or wearing something different, that's why. This takes a while. This one didn't take so long, maybe 15-20 minutes just to do that one. It's the other one took a while because of all the nooks and crannies in it. But yeah, it's really shining up pretty nice. Once you dry it off, you can see really what's going on, where you need to rub out a little bit more. So yeah, don't give up and keep it shining. So that's gonna wrap it up for now. I'm gonna be back a couple days. It's Christmas right now, so got a little bit of stuff to do. So I'll be back. Feeling pretty good about this though. These are looking pretty sharp. And after just the 220 here, so a couple more steps to go. Maybe go up to 400, 600, 800, or maybe just 600, 800, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. I don't know, but we'll see how she goes. It's a long process, yeah, but it's gonna look awesome. It'll be a snap to you, but I'll be back in a few days to finish the rest of the engine parts. I'll be back.
Wrenching it up, gonna wrench it up, yeah. Wrenchity roo, wrench, roo.